What's a bad thing everyone should experience once? NSFW. The moment of panic and the lingering feeling in the pit of your stomach when you're driving and narrowly avoid what could have been a disaster. Not even necessarily your fault. Things like braking for a deer or a car not seeing you in their blind spot and changing lanes into you, and you have to hit the horn. Something that reminds you that no matter how much time we spend driving and how easy it usually is, vehicles are fucking dangerous and you don't want to get careless. Something that reminds you why driving deserves your full attention the entire time. Being broke. You appreciate what little you have and what it's like to earn hard-earned money. Probably helps you to be empathetic towards other people that are broke and not just resort to telling them to stop being lazy. I think it's important to get used or ripped off once by a supposed friend. My son, when a teen, would believe anyone, any story, any hard luck tale. Then came the day a friend sold him fishing poles for way too much money and he dropped them off. They didn't have any reels on them. My son was so hurt and pissed. I felt bad for him, but he never forgot that lesson. Be careful who you call a friend. Met this girl, talked to her on the internet for years. Never really went anywhere, but talking/typing to her became a part of my regular routine for so long that I felt like I knew her, even though in reality, of course, I actually didn't. One day she hits me up talking about how she desperately needs money and is looking to sell this gift card someone got her. I think nothing of it and say sure. I take it home and go online to activate it, at which point I find it was obviously stolen. Go on Facebook and see that she's updated her status. Sucker. Being sick and having someone take care of you teaches you how to take care of others when they are down and the efforts and sacrifices you make. Also being sick away from home, i.e., no one to take care of you. Once you have laid in a bed sick as a dog all alone, you appreciate everyone who is there for you. Being humiliated for being an a-hole. Some people need this to happen more than once. Agreed. That moment of self-awareness when you realize no, you're not being funny or the other person isn't in the wrong, but you are being an a-hole. That's humbling. You learn to be a better person from the experience. Heartbreak/being broken up with. It's awful, but I think an important growing experience. Butter said it best. The only way I could feel this sad now is if I felt something really good before. So I have to take the bad with the good. Hard labor and working in customer service. Done both, woo, off to a good start. Currently there. High five. Working in retail and or food service. Working those jobs really changes your perspective on what is an appropriate way to behave in those environments and shows you that many people have no idea how to behave appropriately in them. Cashier/bagger here. You have no idea just how rude, lazy, inconsiderate, nasty, and just downright mean people can be until you work in a customer service job. It really makes you appreciate genuinely nice people a whole lot more and shows you just how many people weren't raised right. I can tell stories for days about the shit I see on a daily basis. For example, one time I had a lady complain to my office manager, co-manager, and store manager. I was on register that day saying that my customer service was awful and that someone should have trained me better. All because she didn't have enough money to pay for her stuff. Luckily, two of them saw the whole thing and politely told the lady that she was a moron and I had done nothing wrong. The next customer in line also saw the whole thing and told them, my managers, that I was the sweetest cashier at the store. Good times. Running through fields of wheat. So naughty, almost too naughty. Completely failing and having to pick yourself back up. Learning resilience is hard but worth it. Going through this right now, I hope it truly is worth it. Edit. All of your kind and encouraging words have made me feel so much better. Sometimes it just feels like nothing will ever change, but I believe pushing on will change my outcome. Thank you so much for lifting me up. Having a terrible roommate/flatmate. It really makes you appreciate future living situations, especially with a so. That's damn near something I wouldn't wish on anyone. Watching someone die. When I watched my grandmother die, I looked at my dad holding her hand. At first I thought to myself, I'm going to do the same thing too. Then I thought, someone is going to watch me die too. It was at that moment that death no longer scared me. Minor car accident, so that you understand, even if nobody is hurt, how quickly it happens, how hard the cars jolt on collision, and how much hassle it is to get through the insurance, etc. It's happened where 2 drivers have driven into me in the past. I drive with real caution for months afterwards, and am extremely attentive to the road as a result. Well officer, a guy on Reddit told me that getting into a car accident would be a good experience for me, so I rammed your car at the stop sign. A relationship with a superficial/pretentious person makes you appreciate humble people even more. My first girlfriend was so standoffish, unaffectionate and just plain rude. We were together a year before we just stopped talking to each other. At the time I thought that was just what a relationship was, until I met my second girlfriend, who was so incredibly charming, warm and affectionate. I didn't consider the first relationship as a waste of a year, because it made me appreciate my second so much more. Failing at something, because after that you'll grow and be able to 1. Achieve more, 2. Use it as motivation, 3. Know that failing is okay, or be so scared of failing again that you don't want to try anything because you think you're just gonna fail that too. Then you slip into a spiraling depression and constant existential crisis, thinking that no matter what you do it will never be good enough and no one will ever appreciate you, because all you do is make pathetic attempts at things and then give them up when you get discouraged. Lol. Take public transportation. I know a shit ton of people who've never taken it. I personally find it kind of soothing, except when I'm taking the bus home from work in the morning, i.e. right now. If I could drive I'd be at home and in my bed. Coming from major cities with great public transport, this is so weird to me. I couldn't imagine getting around by car. Near-death experience. You never really appreciate the finite nature of your own life until you've breathed what you believe to be your last breath. Then to have the brain go into panic mode, images flashing and a strong inbuilt survival mechanism kicking in, forcing every part of yourself to fight for life, to then have it all go black. You wake up exhilarated, like nothing I've ever felt since or before. The air on your skin, that you've never realized before. The feeling of air filling your lungs as you breathe. The smells and tastes are all amplified. It lasted for at least a year. The urge to savor every little thing in life and see all the previous annoyances as petty and meaningless in the grand scheme of things. It also puts into perspective the sheer terror of death, and I believe it gave me a greater level of sympathy for those that are not as lucky. I think everyone would be a lot less violent and warmongering if they had felt the emptiness of death. Being at the mercy of someone else after you've done something to deserve getting your ass whooped. I'm not saying everyone should experience getting bashed, but I think there are a lot of people out there with attitude problems that have never experienced the consequences of their actions. A little fear can be enough to make people think twice before being mean to others. Again, I'm not advocating violence, but the stomach plunging into your feet because you know you done up by being a tool to someone that isn't having your shit, that I think is a valuable lesson in how not to behave as a human being. Live on a service job / minimum wage for a year. No parents as a safety net. No rich friends you live with. No big savings account you can dig into if you really need it. Nada. None of that. Haha, yeah, I totally know what it's like. My lawyer parents made me wash cars and teach yoga for a while to get real world experience. No, you need to feel a real present threat of being homeless. Nothing but a shitty job at Popers between you and the streets. Know what it's like to run down to the plasma center and sell your blood for gas money. Have to make up excuses to not go out with friends tonight because your paycheck got lost again. Put up with your friends' snide comments when you only eat half your 10-inch pizza and box the rest for home because you'd like to have lunch tomorrow. Know what it's like to have your employment put at risk by some snot-nosed rich teenage customer who decides your service wasn't fast enough. Indifference from complete strangers when you are in a time of need. It seems oddly specific, but can really be translated in many settings, from being stranded and trying to hitchhike home to begging for money for your next meal. Given some time, you realize a lot are simply ignoring you completely, and some will go far out of their way to help. It helps you be a better person. Being in a physical fight with another person. Best to do it while you are young. There are much less consequences. It is always scary, but it will help you understand how to handle confrontation better in the future. You will see it never happens like it does in the movies. Got any similar stories? Leave it in the comments below.